All right, hi everyone. So utilities, we're all utilities. We've always focused on safety, reliability, affordability. We've heard a lot about that today, but utilities are starting to focus more on the customer, but it's still a bit in the back, right? We had Josh earlier today say, you know, he's been in both distribution and customer, and there was certainly a stronger feeling in the distribution, but utilities need to focus more on customer just because of every other industry that's around us, everything we interact with that's focusing more on customer. It's happening naturally that way. So as part of the ethos, we're going into another customer discussion, and this one's going to go even deeper. It's going to go into loyalty. It's going to go into trust. It's going to go into emotional connection. And how do we build those emotional connections with our customers, right? What are some of the utilities doing? What is Delolitte seeing in terms of building these emotional connections? So I'm Chris Hilborn. As Jason mentioned, I'm the president of Utility 2030 Leadership Collaborative. We're the only holistic provider of leadership development programs, professional growth services. We offer a membership, we offer advisory services that really focus on peer-to-peer networking, utility insights, real-world application strategies, and proven leadership development. And in fact, SMUD's a member. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to the panelists to introduce themselves, introduce their companies, and then we'll get into it. So why don't we start with you, Matt?
Hey, everybody. Happy afternoon. Thank you for joining us. My name is Matt Tobias. I'm a partner in Delolitte Digital. Beyond that, I run Delolitte's digital factory focused on utilities. And what we do in a nutshell is help utilities meet customers where they are. And we do that by shaping user experience, focusing on sort of those areas where there's friction, particularly in those kind of critical areas of outage, high bill, moving. We were talking about that backstage in terms of moving from one address to the next. And ultimately what we do is we build pretty cool digital products that delight your customers and reduce your cost to serve.
All right, thank you.
Hi, I'm DeAnna Hardwick. I am the Chief Customer Strategy Officer at CPS Energy. So my team is the customer, community, and communications stuff and things. So it's the people at the end of the light switch and the people who get to enjoy all of the good product that we do. And CPS Energy, hopefully you got to see, I think our CEOs were on the panel earlier this morning, and welcome to the city of San Antonio, CPS Energy. We provide, we're the largest municipally owned electric and gas vertically owned utility in the nation.
Awesome. Oh. Everybody hear me? Perfect. So Brandy Bolden, Chief Customer Officer for the Sacramento Municipal Utility District, which is lovingly known as SMUD. We service the Sacramento region. We are the 6th largest municipal utility in the country. I just cannot say enough about my organization. I have the honor and pleasure of leading the Customer and Community Services organization. So like you, all things touching the customer core operations, our managed accounts, our commercial development, and what's very near and dear to my heart is our special assistance and advocacy teams. So I'm very happy to be here.
All right, thank you. Well, let's start out with a question for all of you. From your vantage point, right, how has customer really evolved within the utility space? How has it moved to be more than just customer satisfaction, to move into customer experience and really into customer loyalty? So DeAnna, why don't we start with you?
Sure. I started with CPS Energy and in the utility industry 10 years ago now, and I remember coming from other industries. I was amazed. I felt like I kind of went back in time. And just hearing people refer to customer as ratepayer, I'm proud to say over the last 10 years, I hear that word less and less. But we now instead of calling them customers, we're calling them assets. So still working on it. But you know, I can say for us, we really changed from just customer satisfaction. It's not just about one individual touch point. When you call the call center, when you go to the walk-in center, when you open that bill, it is about how do you think about who we are as your utility that for good or bad, you're going to open up that bill every month and have to pay that bill. And so we look at everything from what is the experience, what do you think about who we are as a brand, and understanding that that brand means something to our community at least. Also understanding what do you think as a customer is important, not what do I think as for you is important, but what do you think as a customer is important? And so it's about those engagements. It's also where do you expect us to be at? What do you expect us to do? And how do you expect to see us and help support you in your life as a customer of CPS Energy? And we've gone from just measuring CSAT to the whole engaged customer relation index. And so we're looking at everything from your product experience. How difficult is it to do business with us? You know, how much work do we make you do just to pay a bill? And just that answer alone was shocking. But by highlighting that, you can find ways to get rid of the friction points and then be able to capitalize on those value moments. I think whenever I first joined the utility industry, a lot of people said, you know, we hear this from all customer people, you just want to create a wow experience. And I was like, I'm not that customer person. Because I know that most wow experiences aren't wow, it's wow. So it's how do you understand what people care about? And you can put data to it, and when you can do it and have people not always not like you, but understand what you're doing and want to partner with you so that you can do all of those great things that we want to do. So I'm proud to say that I've seen that transition. I love the fact that I think both for SMUD and for CPS Energy, you know, we have a vision and a plan, and it includes customer. I think that was a scary word to be used before, or just an afterthought. But by saying the customer is important, we're going to include the customer in the plans that we build by focusing on what they are expecting from us, and then bring them along with us to make sure that we're getting it right, and then make sure at the very end that it's what they expected, and then how do we continue to grow?
Yeah, just to add on to that point, I think DeAnna made some really important remarks there. So I've been around utilities for 12 plus years at this point, and I'm just happy to hear utilities say the word customer. A number of utilities we worked with even 6 or 7 years ago, it was a ratepayer. It's an individual that happened to live in an address, the bill goes to that address, and that person better pay that rate, or there's issues associated with that. So I think it's great that we're just moving forward into customer, and is our customer satisfied? What's the experience? And you know, increasingly, at least amongst our clients, starting to see the move away from the JD Power scores up on the bulletin board. Let's look at where we are this month. Let's look at where we are next month. How does that compare to the other utilities around us? Because one of the points that we make is your customers aren't comparing the experience they're having with you to that of another utility. They're comparing it to, you know, their banking experience. They're comparing it to their Xfinity account. They're comparing it to anything else other than the other utilities. And ultimately, I think what we're seeing is less about customer satisfaction, more about the customer experience. Was with a CCO last week who had just gone to their board and basically said, my goal for the next 3 years is to make it easy to do business with us. And if we can achieve that, our customers are going to be happy. And I think definitely agree with that. And the issue is for a lot of utilities right now, The answer is no. It's not very easy to do business with them. You have to get on the phone. Anybody who has people around them that are under 30 years of age, they don't use the phone anymore. They don't call anybody. They're going to text. They're going to jump online, do it on their phone. Nobody likes to make a phone call. So, outdated websites, clunky apps that have been around for a long period of time, or still having to kind of connect directly rather than, again, meeting folks where they are. I think that's kind of where the future goes, and that's how you have a happy customer.
Yeah, I know for us, I appreciate that. For us, we are a community-owned not-for-profit. So the customer in our community is at the center of everything that we do. It's literally in our strategic directive 1A to improve the quality of life for our customers and community. And that's something that we take very, very seriously. We lean into that. We have intentional interactions. And that's really based on building of trust, right? We are a community partner. The folks that live in our SMUD territory, our customers, our community partners, the very employees that we employ live in the region. So it is very much a family. It is very much something that we is a cornerstone to delivering on those experiences. And so really understanding what our customers need from us as a community partner, not just a utility, has been at the forefront of our efforts over the last 10 years. And so I think, as with anyone, customer satisfaction, you're measuring transactions. We really wanted to get to the point of what actually drives customer value, right? And it is focused around those intentional experiences. And to your point earlier, we want to make it easy for our customers to do business with us. We want to be responsive to their needs. Most importantly, we want them to know that we care about them. We build trust with them, and we're community-minded. So definitely, again, moving away from customer satisfaction. I mean, obviously, we have to get the basics right. We want to make sure that each and every transaction is done accurately, right? And we're responsive to the customer's needs, but really looking towards what actually drives value for our customers.
Yeah, and it's getting to that trust. It's challenging. Even backstage, we were talking about CPS has almost an 80% of their customers on e-bill, which is one of the highest numbers I've heard of. But only 1/3 of the customers open them. The other 2/3 don't open them, but they still don't trust. So it's getting to that trust. One of the key components of trust is empathy, and it's important to use empathy to build a strong connection. How is your utility, right? How is Delolitte looking at an empathetic approach in dealing with customers?
Yeah, so a couple of different ways. So first and foremost, trust building is something that we do from the highest levels of the organization. It's something that we model as leaders. We spent a lot of time building trust, exercising those trust behaviors, building that muscle so that we can lead our teams in similar types of activities. And when you have trust in employees that build and cultivate trust, that translates to how you service, right? Your community and your customers. We all understand, and we've heard it several times, employee experience equals exceptional customer experience. So the higher you go with engaging your employees in a way that is meaningful for them, they're able to deliver those seamless experiences to our customers. And so it's really taking the time, it's modeling it. It's community involvement. We spend an enormous amount of time volunteering through a very robust employee volunteerism program. So we want our employees out in communities, understanding who we serve. That builds empathy, that builds trust. So when people see you in the grocery store and they know you work for SMUD, they're like, I love SMUD. That's the type of reaction I want folks to have. I want them to love us. I want them to depend on us. I want them to look at us as partners. And so I think that's something that definitely starts from the top. It starts with modeling. I'm instilling it in your very culture of your organization.
I just want to add to that. I think it's extremely important. It's being a part of the community. And I heard you say that, Brandy, and I know that y'all do a lot of that. And that's for us what's so important too. It's volunteering. It's showing up. Just down the hall, if you haven't had a chance to go to the SAMSAT, the San Antonio Museum of Science and Technology, like we sponsor SAMSAT down the hall and get to help with the lighting, and I think we might have donated some of those things up there. But that's because that's what our community expects of us. Don't have a huge budget for the sponsorships and the support, but to be a part of the families that send their kids here. You'll see school buses outside, and they show up, and being able to see them learning cybersecurity, learning about all kinds of technology, medical, and all the things that we power is extremely important. And then it's about when we're there on a volunteer basis, it's how do we offer support? And for us, that is knocking on doors. Part of building trust for us was, showing up to our community. We have a pretty big digital divide here, so we knock on doors. We put door hangers there, so it's not just paying attention to the digital experience, it's paying attention to the holistic experience. And so now we have a presence from our community engagement team that's in 10 parts of the community every day, Monday through Sunday. And sometimes that's just a community, that's a senior citizen community. Sometimes it's going to the bedside of someone who, had a last minute situation. And by having those corporate or those community partners like SAMSAT, like the food bank, they can connect us with people who are in need, and we can connect them with people that can help them. So we take what we call a bundled care approach. And it's not just about helping people fill the need that they have on electricity. It's about helping them fill the challenge that they're having in their life. And oh, by the way, CPS is here to support you. We're your community partner.
Yeah, just to add to that real quick. I think what we're hearing here, which is exactly right, is trust, working with the community is an everyday sort of thing. We've worked with some clients sometimes that have a particular issue that they need to get around. There's a high bill issue. There's something that's impacting trust from an AMI standpoint or whatever it might be. And in talking to some of the executives, the first question is, how do we sort of get around this thing, right? How do we get in front of the messages that are coming out? And I think to a certain extent, the answer is you don't. And you kind of have to build that trust. It's a daily motion that's, we're out in the world, we're helping out, people see us, they see that we're here to help and here to be of assistance, and you're building up your trust bank. And at the end of the day, there's going to be some things that come out of that trust bank every now and then, but when you're making those everyday motions, you've got the ability and kind of the overall trust.
So you're out in the communities, right? You've got people out in the communities. You may be out as well, but I assume your people are out in the communities, right? The one thing we've spoken about a lot over the last 2 days is the change management, the leadership of the change management, and that change management can be really hard. So how, as leaders, do you empower your employees? Do you enable that change in them for them to go out and display empathy and work with customers? And it could also be frontline workers, whether it's call center workers or even line workers. How do you make that change happen?
Again, it starts with the culture. It starts with the leadership. I actually spoke to one of our new hire classes of CSRs that were coming into the contact center a couple weeks ago, and they're on fire. They're happy to be there. They're in the room, and I got a question of if there's one thing that I can do, if there's one thing, what's the most important thing? And I said, every single interaction that our customers have with us is an opportunity. We either build trust or break it. So make sure you're doing whatever you can to build that trust. And that may mean if you see a process or something that's broken, maybe it took too many steps to address a customer's situation, raise that to your supervisor. Let them know. Let's get it fixed. You're closest to our customers and our community, so let us know what we need to do and what we need to do to make it better, right? Are there any barriers preventing you from delivering that exceptional customer experience? Let somebody know. Let's get it fixed, right? It's understanding that they have the power to change. It's not just about following the procedures or following the business rules and making sure they're, dotting all I's and crossing all T's. It's what does that customer need? And do you have the skills and tools at your disposal in order to meet those needs. And if not, let's get them for you, right? It's empowering them. Like, and another thing I said was, as long as you land on the side of the customer, you can never do wrong in my book. And I mean that. Sometimes it means asking the next question. Sometimes it means making a radical change. But we're there to be in service to our customers. And I use in service, say that very, very intentionally. We are there to support our customers and community, not the other way around, right? So that's top of mind for me.
I just want to add on that. I think it is being the example. Sometimes it's a Christmas day, and we have to have call center reps out there taking the calls, and just showing up and showing them that you're willing to help support them, I think is absolutely huge. But when I think of from a call center metric standpoint, years ago we made the decision. And for those of you from a call center, don't gasp. I was workforce management, but we don't look at individual AHT. Take the time that you need with that person. I will gladly give up AHT seconds for a one-call resolution, right? That's going to save me a lot more seconds on the end. Now, it doesn't mean you get to go goof around, but at the end of the day, if you need a moment, we love to burn our reps out. So part of it was training and mindset. We have a technical system that is older than a lot of my phone reps. I hate saying that. We put it in place I think we bought it in 1998. So the people that we're hiring, we have to put through a lot of technical training. And so introducing empathy as part of that was extremely important. And part of that was release the judgment. Like, just being able to tell our call center reps, you don't have to judge people who missed a payment or is calling for assistance. That doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Listen to their circumstances and see what is it that they need, what is happening in the moment, and then how do we help set them up for success, not just for this phone call, but for the next 2 bills coming, for the rest of the year, whatever it is. And by doing that, it removes that stigma of, here we go again, just one more phone call. And then I think another one is just our hiring profile, and who our brand is as a community. Having a CEO like Rudy Garza extremely, extremely helps. But being the face of someone who is, you know what, we are going to work with you. We are going to help you. And sometimes it's just going to the employees and saying, thank you. Thank you for going that extra mile. Thank you for caring. You can't always teach that. So I can't always hire for technical, but I can hire for heart. So the hiring profile also had to change.
So as the technical guy, DeAnna, I think, made a really important point there. A lot of the systems that are customer-facing, pretty old. A lot of the processes, also pretty old, often older than some of the people that are doing them. And I think what we often see is what that means is a CSR is spending the majority of the call typing. So they aren't getting information transferred in. They aren't necessarily getting an AI assist or whatever it might be with that. So rather than listening and being empathetic, they are saying things like, what's your account number? Let me look that up. Let me look at your last record. So it's become mechanical rather than actually having the opportunity to hear what the person's saying, what is their problem, and how we can help them with it.
So, yeah, so many things are jumping out at me. The hearts and minds, right? It sounds like you're capturing them for the customers and for the employees. But then I hear AHT, and I'm an old call center guy myself, and I start to think about the cost, right? And empathy, it almost sounds like may come at a cost, but it may not. So I'll throw this question over to you first, Max. I'm interested in what you're seeing, but then you as well, is how do you balance that? Because you've got the hearts and minds of the customer, but you also have a business you're running. And how do those work together?
No, it's a really important point, and sort of 2 ideas that come from that. One is looking at folks that are getting behind in their payments, certainly seeing that sort of post-COVID. It's in the utilities benefit at the end of the day to help them figure out a path to payment and getting them back online. So yes, there's a cost to, we're not getting as many calls, it's taking longer. Often talking to a customer about potential payment plans, those kinds of things are pretty lengthy discussion. Certain call centers only have a certain number of people that even understand all of those things. But ultimately, at the end of the day, building trust back with those kind of customers. Hey, the utility actually helped me. They weren't just looking to cut my power. They actually wanted to figure out sort of a path forward. And just in addition to that, the getting paid at the end of the day against that bad debt, not a bad thing. So, yes, there's a cost, but I think there's actually a benefit. I personally am also of the opinion that trust, having sort of that positive customer relationship, is likely going to turn into better regulatory relationships going forward, more rate cases going through. The number of utilities that I'm seeing right now where rate case didn't go through, we didn't get the additional dollars that we were looking for, we're now having to kind of rush around and either refile or figure out projects that we're not going to do. In the state of Illinois that I happen to live in, the controller basically ran on a platform of, I'm anti-utility, and I'm going to make sure that the utility doesn't get any more of your money. So I think changing that to, we like the utility's here to help, is ultimately going to turn into something that's financially beneficial for the utility.
I just want to, yes, everything that you just said for us, specifically during the pandemic, our aged receivables, our past due got up to $208 million. So those were some really fun board meetings. But, at the end of the day, we've got it down almost $100 million. Our bad debt is in a better position because we have over 200 partners in power that we work with that was able to help find financial support for each of the households or each of the businesses that were struggling. So we were able to open up a share of the wallet to help eat into that past due balance. And at the same time, now we have, when I sit in front of the different rating agencies and from a financial standpoint, I like to brag about the fact that we have an 80% success rate on installment plans. And that, to me, that's much better than having to disconnect and reconnect. Hoping AMI doesn't fail and that you're not going to have to roll a truck out there. But that gives people a better sense that we are working with them. We are finding the right solution for them through whatever chaos that they're going through. But we also, that success rate means that when I say this is what my installment plan payback is, 80% of that's guaranteed. So we're going to figure it out. And so we can show the financials, and by continuing to do this in a successful way, more partners want to come work with us. And more of those partners, they want to show up and give us more money. And, we're about to go into a pretty challenging time with some of the LIHEAP dollars that are going away. But there's always someone out there who can help and who wants to help. By having that trust and by showing that we are being the responsible partner, more people continue to show up. More businesses want to show up. Fortunately, here in San Antonio, it's the community partners that want to help take care of other community partners. So it's give and take, all built on the trust that you don't get if you don't have empathy.
Yeah, pretty much everything that you've said, we've done it as well at SMUD. We also saw, record number of, customers in arrearage coming out of COVID. And, during that time, we also saw some significant impacts to AHT. Once we reinitiated our disconnection process, customers were calling in. We knew they were going to call, right? So they needed to make payment arrangements. And so we were able to offer for a period of time extended payment arrangements, right? And so customers would call in. Those calls would take longer. It takes a long time for folks to, sometimes they're not as upfront with what they can afford, right? Or what they're going to be able to do. And it's really, I empower our reps to do whatever is needed. Get that customer on our payment arrangements. We have a similar success rate, upwards of 80% in repayment. And we're starting to see a very significant decrease in our arrearages, so we're in good financial position there. But we took the time to do what was needed, right? To have those conversations. And it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? Because we built that trust with our customers, and they know that we're here to help. We do hear from some of them multiple times, right? Month after month. It's the same types of calls, same type of engagement. But I definitely think it's worth it because in the end, Once you're helping getting that customer out of that situation, or to your point, getting them the resources and other types of things that they need, you now have a willing participant in advocating for you as an organization. You have someone who is going to be more willing to sign up and engage in programs, right? So there's other advantages for taking that time. So yes, it is a balance, but I definitely believe it's an investment that's well worth it and pays off in the end.
Wow, that's a great list. And any customer folks out there that are wrestling with their CFOs or their other teams, their ops teams, there's a good list of things to take into a business case to give to them. We're got about 10 minutes left, so if anyone has a question from the audience, feel free to come up to the mic. And while you're doing that, I'll ask another question. We haven't delved into technology yet, but technology isn't necessarily known for empathy. How are you employing technology, and are there ways that you're trying to embed empathy or engagement within your technology?
Yeah, we're and we've heard a lot over the last day or so about AI and leveraging AI to help in various ways in the back end. For us, we're working in close partnership with our IT partners to pilot some technology around listening, right? Understanding what types of the types of calls and that's customer sentiment that we're getting from that, because we record 100% of our calls, so there's a lot of data there, right? We take 2 million calls a year, right? So there's a lot of information to be harnessed, and it's really leveraging that technology to start to listen to those calls, really kind of in the moment, assisting the reps with what it is they need, like different types of prompts, like if more empathy is needed during a phone call, or if a suggestion of a program is required during that time. Those are all things that we're looking at, and we're actively looking to deploy, but it doesn't happen overnight. So we pay very close attention to, we do 100% transaction survey, so anyone that transacts with us, we survey them. We also have our, what we call our value survey that is sent out that really measures our perception. And that gives us a lot of good information, a lot of verbatims, which we read through and we take action on. And in partnership with Delolitte have really worked to really build out a very robust voice of customer program, so we're able to get that information. But technology is the key, and we're on the very, very early stages of our journey, but I'm looking forward to what all it has to offer, because I know we're going to get some really great things going in the next year or so. So very excited about that.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I think we're a little bit behind you. We're just in the front end of putting in a new ERP system. And along the same lines as what Brandy mentioned, I think in my teams that are out there, you've heard this story, but it's stepping back and thinking about the human experience throughout the technical interaction. So we have here in San Antonio, we have lots of beloved places. We all love our grocery store. We love our insurance company, and we love one of our local burger spots. I guess it's not a local burger spot anymore, but I usually tell the story about how that not too long ago I went on the app to order a cheeseburger. I was just driving out of town, just wanted to pick up a cheeseburger. It said, be ready in 3 to 5 minutes, so just pull up here. So I got excited, I pulled up there, and 15, 20 minutes later, my cheeseburger hadn't come out. And I saw that the drive-through wasn't moving, and I was like, this doesn't look so good. So I went into the store, and I was like, hey, I just ordered a cheeseburger. Can I get my cheeseburger? And they're like, oh, well, let me go check on that. So the lady goes to the back, and she comes back, and she says, oh, we're going to get started on that for you. And I was like, what? Just getting started? Cheeseburger. And then at the same time, I noticed that there was some school executives that showed up, and they were picking up an order for their elementary school, whatever school they had. And I was like, oh, that's why I'm not going to get a burger anytime soon. And so I was like, you know what? Just go ahead and cancel my order. And they said, oh, okay, you can cancel your order. You just got to go on the app. I was like, oh, already tried that. Didn't work. And they said, oh, well, you have to call an 800 number. And if you run call centers, you get really excited when someone tells you to call a call center. So then I got in my car, and they asked me for a lot of things, right? So I go through the IVR. It makes me put in my order number. put that in there, then they verify I am who I say I am. Okay, so what is your name? DeAnna Hardwick. What is your phone number? Gave that to them. What is your email address? I was like, this is a lot of work for a $5 cheeseburger. I just want you to cancel my order. You could just credit my account. Well, Ms. Hardwick, we want to make sure we get it back to your to the right account. Fine, at this point, I'll give you my blood type. She said, we canceled your order. Now, while all of this is going on, I went to another burger spot, ordered a little cheeseburger that I was able to pick up and eat during this whole process. And at the end of the call, she's like, would you like to take a survey? You don't want me to take a survey. And then after the first time I told this story, I went back into the app, and I still haven't gotten my $5.37 back. They can keep it. But so I know that's a weird story to tell, but it's about stepping back and looking at the process. Because in my mind, you had different departments that brought in technology, but didn't think about the entire experience along the way, about how they wanted their customer to feel, what was important. Clearly, I was willing to wait 15 to 20 minutes to get my cheeseburger, but I'm not willing to call a call center to cancel my order, so just put a little cancel button there. Right, things like that. It's stepping back sometimes. We get so, we like to do things very complicated in the utility industry, so I say make it as simple as possible, and only as complicated as necessary, and just remember there's a human going through this process, and think about what that experience should be.
Yeah, it's a really great point. And I think the takeaway from that is one of what technology can offer in this space from an empathy standpoint is really about data and transparency around what's happening, and really sort of being proactive in terms of the information. So I kind of mentioned at the top of the conversation that one of the things that we try to do with utilities is create mobile apps, other experiences that are basically going to kind of take friction out of those moments that matter. So outage is definitely one of them. Outage is traumatic, and ended up working with the utility in my hometown, and it was actually based on an experience that I had in terms of nice sunny day, all of a sudden the power goes out, and working from home that day, so it's a real drag. And in addition to that, my wife sees the truck pull up, people get out, start to do work, and then get back in the truck and drive away. So her first thing is, shaking her fist saying, what's going on? Nothing's working, and they just left. And I happen to know people in the call center, so called up, and sure enough, it was, well, they brought the wrong part. People need to go back and get the right part. So we ended up working with them on an outage solution that actually included all that information. So rather than just having a map and saying there's an outage, it's saying truck's on the way, truck's there, here's what it's doing, and then even beyond that, truck had to leave. Here's why the truck had to leave, because they needed another part. They were back in 20 minutes. So you kind of take that bad situation, particularly to DeAnna's point, if they had just said, hey, burger's going to be really late, do you still want it, yes or no? Same sort of thing here in terms of providing information, providing sort of that additional level of detail, and everybody's happy at the end of the day, and you're actually kind of driving that empathy through technology.
So I just want to tap back to that because I think, in terms of how we deliver services and things to our customers, it's important to keep, obviously put them in the center of everything you do. But I also think that that goes the same for any type of internal projects, right? Putting your employees at the center of what you do when you're deploying a new technology in order to service the customer. Because if you make it impossible for your employees to engage and deliver services, in an easy, responsive, and caring way, they're not going to be able to provide that for our customers. So I think it's equally as important to keep the employee experience when deploying technologies top of mind, making sure that you're building something from an employee standpoint and ease of use for them. Because you make it easy for them, they'll make it easy for our customers.
Yeah, I just want to add on to that. I think one of the best things that we've done, we created a team, we call it Customer Resolutions and Solutions, but basically it is a frontline rep team that now sits in our system operations room 24/7. And so by having eyes and ears there, I hope whenever we have the outage situation, whether it's a blue sky day, everybody at my customer team, as well as our government relations team, as well as our communications team, they all get the same information about that outage, right? It's invaluable information that you get in a control room when people are sharing that doesn't always get captured through technology. Now, I'm communicating it through technology to all folks at the same time. So if I get an inquiry on an outage from a community member, I have it at the touch of my hands too. But just the value of creating a team that sits in with our operations team and listens there and acts as a translator so we're not saying, we got a BO pot bank, it'll be 4 hours before it gets repaired. We can say, you know what, we had an equipment failure because of some weather, but we're on the way, probably be 4 hours, so go to the grocery store for now, right? You're helping, to your point, we're giving our teams the information they need in a meaningful way for them to translate that for the end customer. And that right there was a big relief in those moments that matter. In a stressful situation where you hear the whatever stress that the customer is going through, and we've hired and trained for the right empathy, we've now provided them with the right information to help.
Wow. Okay, we're just bumping up against time, so I want to say thank you very much. It sounds like, if I can summarize, that to capture the hearts and minds, and it sounds like we're well on our way, is really to reduce friction, right? Really work with our teams, empower them to help them do that, to think about the customer, include the customer in our processes as we're thinking about launching something, doing something, right? How will the customer go through it? Not just make it what's easiest for us, but what's easiest for the customer. So thank you for all that. Thank you for coming up here. A big thank you to Jason and ETS for this. And yeah, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.